And we're live.
Hey.
Hey, welcome
Oh,
back.
hello.
Hello, hey. How you guys
Hang
doing?
on. I'm watching a commercial about the McChicken or whatever it is, the new sandwich at McDonald's, because that's loading up the podcast.
Oh, is there
Oh,
a new
okay.
McChicken?
What's
McCrispy, apparently.
new
Okay.
about it?
It's got a potato bun. That's all I know. I had the commercial on mute. They had a
Interesting.
lady eating it, so
You look like
Okay.
you enjoyed
So,
it.
she did.
Well,
So
I
that means
gotta go
she
get
got paid
10.
well.
Yeah, I
She
gotta
got paid well for it, I hope.
I gotta go buy some because that could be me.
You could be that lady.
No.
think in the commercials she actually like eats the bites she takes, or when they cut, she like spits it all
She
out.
spits it out
Oh,
for sure.
she's a stunt eater.
Yeah. Or
Doesn't actually eat the food.
like the whole wine thing where you just like swish it in your mouth to get the flavor and then you spit.
Yep.
I can imagine swishing McDonald's food around your
Oh,
mouth. That's gonna be the most disgusting feeling in the
it's just
world.
grease, right? Like you feel it more than you
Oh,
taste it.
and we've got like the technically better for you food up here because it's different oils. Ugh,
Yikes.
I still wouldn't
Just
do
like
that.
it's like gargling with a Big Mac.
Oh,
It just seems like an Ed and Eddie skit.
Absolutely repugnant.
On a lighter note, next week is PAX,
hey,
which is pretty exciting. And I got a cool opportunity that I wanted to bring up
Mhm.
because I'm freaking out. Um, but I'm going to be interviewing Reggie Fils-Aimé when I'm
Yeah.
there.
congrats, dude.
That's cool, right?
Yeah, that's actually really fucking cool,
Yeah.
dude.
What are you gonna ask?
Well, I'm putting my list of questions together.
Okay.
If you have any ideas, if anyone listening has some cool questions,
Oh, ask
you
him
want
if
to
his
shoot them up.
body is ready. I'm sure he's
Oh,
never heard
don't,
it.
no, no.
Oh, that'll be a good one. Yeah, yeah. I have him for 15 minutes. I'll just ask that over and over again.
There, I said it, so now people writing in don't have to. You're welcome.
Doing the Lord work.
I thought Jeff Keighley was as terrifying as it was going to get for me, and then this just
No, this
fell
is
into
much
my
worse.
lap. Holy shit! I'm so nervous.
Dude, you'll be fine.
I don't
I
idolize any
was
of these people, and this is way worse. Yeah, you're right. This is way
I
bigger.
wouldn't say I would not say I idolize these people, but these
Sure.
are big names, and Reggie specifically. Like when it comes, I know he's out of the game industry now, but when it comes to like noteworthy people or names that people know in the games industry,
Yeah,
there's not a ton of people higher than Reggie. There's just a handful. Like,
without speaking Japanese for sure.
oh yeah, and if you
Yeah,
take out people in Japan, there's I don't
there's
know,
very
like
few.
very few. Because like just off the top of your head, anyone, Miyamoto's above him.
Yeah, of course.
I would definitely uh like Iwata if he was
Rest
around.
in
Still
peace.
alive. Kojima.
Kojima is
Kojima
definitely
for
bigger.
sure.
Yeah,
Who's the Cube? Peter Molyneux I think would be a pretty big one.
Peter Molyneux, yeah.
yeah.
Well, is he even still active though?
I think he has his 22 cans
Yeah, has he done?
or
Have they done
whatever.
anything after Curiosity? I haven't heard anything
No, and that's
since
another thing is, I
Goddess.
bet a lot of people actually don't even know Peter Molyneux's name at this point,
Yeah, yeah,
Like maybe Phil Spencer, but like
yeah.
that's like that's probably it, right?
Well, maybe Bobby Kotick for wrong reasons now, lately.
Mm,
Yeah, I mean, but who would be excited to interview Bobby Kotick right now?
Yeah, well, I'm sure there's a lot of journalists that have been trying to, but yes.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. When the like email came through, they were like, "Oh yeah, and this is Reggie. He's written a book," and they gave me like a little blurb on who Reggie is in case I needed to catch up.
Sure.
um, I did order a copy of his book because it is something I've been wanting to read.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, here's some interview prep. So I need a vibe check from you two.
Yeah.
okay.
I got the book.
Okay.
Can I ask him to
Disrupting
sign
the
it after the
game.
interview?
No, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, if that's not super weird. That's not like lame.
I can guarantee, as someone who's been to E3 and seen people around him, you're not going to be the first person to ask something like that.
Sure.
Okay. I just because like I'm gonna be doing like a pretty professional like interview with him, And then afterwards I'm gonna be like, can you sign this book, sir?
He doesn't seem like a douche though, so you could even joke about it probably while you're doing the interview. Like, I read your book, by the way, got to get you to sign it later, and then go into a question.
Well, like maybe play it off cool. Like, I read your shitty book. Why don't you like? Fucking
No,
well, maybe not. Maybe
do
not
not do
that.
that.
Don't nag him. Do not nag Reggie. That man will pick you up and throw you out a window.
Go ahead, sure. Like,
Don't nag Reggie.
put that on my resume. Was once thrown by Mr. Bigfoot himself. Yeah, like Bigfoot pizza questions I think would be cool if there's like an actual good one. Anyway, so yeah, this is cool and I'm fucking terrified.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
You'll be fine.
What's gonna make it harder? When I did the Jeff Keighley one, I had someone, I had a coworker who lives in LA who was a video shooter able to come out and man the cameras, and I was able to get the 2 camera setup, and it was great. And I didn't have to worry about this stuff. This time it's just me. I'm doing everything by myself.
Are you? Is this video? Are you having to do this with video?
I mean, I want to, because I would love to have a video of myself interviewing him. So I'm just going up there with a camera, and it's just going to be a static shot. So unfortunately I'm not gonna be able to do like the 2 that we had before, but I don't have an option. I don't have a coworker living in Seattle, so.
Yeah, I would offer to help, but I'm unfortunately not gonna be at PAX West. So.
No, if you were going, I was gonna be like, you got to do me the solid and be my cameraman. I'll let you meet Reggie. You get to meet Reggie. Yeah. So anyone listening to this, wish me luck and pray for me, because on Saturday at PAX I will be trying not to sweat through my shirt as I do. What's also funny, so he's doing a panel on like indie games, and I was gonna go listen to that just as like hey, I get to like be in the same room as Reggie. Cool. Like, I'll listen to him talk about games, and I'm gonna do the interview right after. So I'm gonna be like sitting in this panel for an hour, just being like counting down the minutes.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna go meet him after this panel. But yeah, no, it's cool. Bucket list, another check. Yeah, gonna throw up. Try not to throw up.
That's cool. You'll be fine.
Yeah,
You've
it'll
done
be
interviews
fine.
before. Yeah.
Big breaths. Okay, so that's my exciting thing happening next week at PAX. So stay tuned. You guys I'll tell you the story about it afterwards, and hopefully the video will be up when you guys get to see it. But no more about that, because my heart's already like racing after just talking about this.
I can hear you stressing out about it right now.
So let's talk about something a little less stressful, like video games.
Yeah.
Top-down perspective. It's August 25th. I'm Sean Booker.
Paul Fleck.
John Wheeler.
Paul and John, anything you guys want to talk about?
So all my stuff I played was either for the second podcast or on stream.
Yeah, there's this game called Klonoa. I have a lot to say about it, but unfortunately, you're going to have to pay or wait if you're Sean, I guess, to hear that conversation.
Right. Yeah, no, quick plug. After this, we're going to be going live for our Klonoa something series episode of TDP Plus. So if you're a patron, get excited for that. If you're not a patron, hey, what are you doing? $2, man. Come on. Okay. I got some games to talk about.
Yeah.
All right.
I haven't talked enough yet.
Right.
First one is Cursed to Golf.
All right. This is one I've been curious about for a while.
I asked
I wanted to play this on Saturday, but my audience picked Kirby's Dream Buffet instead. So.
Okay. This I'm kind of hit or miss on. I had a really sour first few hours with it, and then I kind of got better at it. I will say this game is so hard. It is like infuriatingly difficult. For a few reasons. So it is a rogue-like golf game. And the way it kind of works is you have 3 clubs, driver, an iron, and a wedge. And you're going through procedurally generated stages. Actually, I don't know for sure if they're procedurally generated, but they do change. So there might just be like a set number of them that kind of rotate through. The main point there is you can't like practice to get good at it, because it's going to be like a different stage each time.
Sure.
And it's more kind of platformer like. It's not so much about just like make it to the hole. It is you have this many strokes. If the strokes hit 0, you lose. But there are cards you can play, like abilities you can play to be like, hey, just give me like 6 more strokes. and you can use that card. There are
Okay.
also little idle like statues throughout the levels that if you smash them with your ball, will add to that number. So you just got to keep that number from hitting 0. What's hard though is like the obstacles are pretty ridiculous. Like water traps will just add like take an additional stroke off of you. There are like wind, obviously, and then you'll also be playing against like bosses at the end of each world that'll straight up cheat. But the thing they give you to help against the bosses is there will be additional statues you can hit that will like stun them for a turn. You can
Okay.
kind of hold them at bay and whatnot. Um, but they're like so powerful. Like they'll hit the ball like as far as it takes you to hit it like twice.
Yeah.
So like it is an uphill battle.
Gross.
And if you lose, you start all the way over again.
Yeah, that sounds frustrating for sure.
Like and it is not a roguelite. So it is not a scenario where it's like, well, at least I made a little progress in this way, so now the next run's going to be easier. No, for the first, I want to say 4 hours of this game, I made literally 0 progress because I did not win any, because I did not beat the game. Even if you complete a whole world, you start at the beginning again when you lose.
Right.
Meaning I actually got to the second last stage in the whole game, lost, and then said, I cannot do this again. Because I was literally at the beginning of the game. There's no shortcuts. There's no like skip to the thing. It's not a scenario like Hades where it's like, well, I can pump in more health now. My weapon is more powerful. I unlocked all these little assets. There's nothing like that. It is not a roguelite. It is a roguelike. You start from the ground and you do it again. The only thing that can transfer over is those ability cards. If you choose to not bring them into a hole, which is like a level, and you put them in your binder, meaning you cannot use them in the level. So you're already saying, I'm going to kind of make this hole extra hard.
Right.
If you do lose, that binder will survive. So you might want to like do a few like grinding runs to build up that binder, which is definitely a time commitment.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's a question you'll have to make. I will say though, when you do beat each of the world bosses, they give you an extra ability. The first one allows you to put one single checkpoint down. That's pretty helpful.
Okay.
But so I only did like one kind of main run. The first time I beat the first boss, I went all the way to the second last stage, lost, and was so broken. I was like, I can't play this game anymore.
Sure.
But what was annoying about that is I had put my checkpoint down right after that first boss.
Yeah.
I was like, holy crap, I finally beat them. Like, I've been trying to beat this boss for 4 hours. I'm putting this checkpoint down. So when I lost 3 worlds later, I was all the way back at the beginning of World 2, and I was like, this is still too much to replay. No way.
Sure.
This is hours of games. Holy smokes. Each boss will give you like another one gives you like a mulligan, so they do help a little bit. There is a tiny bit of a roguelite element, but it is still not enough to like literally lose hours of your game to restart. Like, it is crazy. For anyone who is playing it though, like, you need cards. Do anything you can do for cards. There is a bit of a like branching path you can take where it's like, hey, do you want to play a normal hole, or do you want to get 2 booster packs of cards and then play a cursed hole? In the cursed hole, every like 2 or 3 turns, they'll be like, you can only hit it left for the next 2 strokes, which sometimes really sucks.
Sure. Yeah.
Sometimes it's okay, stuff like that. It's worth it. Just getting more cards, like, you need these cards or you will not beat this game. This game cheats so much, you have to cheat back. And the cards are pretty cool because it'll be stuff like, while the ball's flying in the air, if you press the B button, you can launch it in a completely different direction. So you can, completely destroy physics to like get around a corner in a way that would like totally open stuff up. And the levels are designed to have like, hey, if you shoot it through this little skinny shortcut, you'll skip half the stage. And that's awesome. But it's going to be hard to do. So there's a huge risk reward there. One of the cards literally lets the ball phase through the environment. So if you time it right, you can like just skip a whole like section of the stage and stuff. So they're cool. They're hard to use, but they're like needed. It's a weird game. Like, so like I said, that first chunk of time, like, I was ready to like throw my controller. I was hating this game. It was so difficult.
Yeah.
But then I just got on. I finally figured out. I was like, okay, it is cards. If you are not relying on these cards 100%, you are not playing this game. And I went on a run all the way to the second last, and I just basically ran out of cards. There was no way I was going to be able to play against it. Because the final world is pretty much like 3 boss fights in a row, where it's like it's just nonsense you're having to go up against, and I didn't have enough bullshit in my pocket to deal with their bullshit.
Yeah.
Then I was like, well, this is the end for me, I guess. So, yeah, so do that at what you want. I think it's $15, so it's not the end of the world if you do hate it. I love the art style, I'll say that. It definitely reminds me of Shovel Knight and kind of their like detailed caricature pixel art. The bosses you go up against specifically reminded me a lot of some Shovel Knight DNA.
Cool.
And I am kind of curious if they're going to change anything about the difficulty, because I've been hearing a lot of people kind of complaining about that. So we'll have to see.
Cool.
And the other game I've been playing this week that totally captured me is a game called Signs of the Sojourner. This has been in my like backlog for a while, and then it was announced that it's leaving Game Pass. So I was like, well, time to play through it. This is a card game about language, and the way that they have used cards to be a metaphor for different languages and meeting new people is so just smart and cool. The way it works is you will come across a new person, and the cards are all like there's a glyph on each side, a symbol. So when you start off, you speak in circles and triangles, because that's where your town speaks. So everyone in the towns, they'll say, someone will come up to you and be like, circle, and then you need to play a card that starts with a circle, and then there'll be another symbol on the right hand side of the card, and then they need to say something that matches your glyph.
Okay.
So if you try and think of how it would relate to like real life, everyone around me pretty much speaks English. I'm pretty confident if I go out and talk to somebody, they're going to speak English. The further I go away from where I am, and this is a road trip game, the further you go away, you're going to start encountering people that speak in squares.
Right.
You don't speak in squares, so it's like so it becomes harder to talk to them. So when you're playing these cards, you need to play like a series of like 5 by going back and forth. And some characters need like 6 cards in a row to complete. Some characters only need 4 because they're easier to talk to. You can talk to dogs. Everyone can talk to dogs. Dogs can talk to anyone. You can't lose talking to dogs. Just like real life. Like a dog will always talk to you, right?
Sure.
There's robots in this world, and some of them are malfunctioning. So they'll just like, it's, the way the card game works is you're kind of working together to fill up this series of cards. But sometimes these robots are broken, so they'll just play one that completely breaks the combo. And it's like, come on, man, you're supposed to be working with me, but they're malfunctioning.
Right.
Like the metaphors that they put in place are so interesting. And as you go further from your hometown and you're coming across these new dialects, every time you finish a conversation, whether you successfully went through it or lost, and the way that happens is you need to fill the combo a certain number of times. And sometimes it's like, hey, if you fill it once, good, you've passed this conversation. Sometimes it's like you need to fill it 3 times, but you have the chance to lose 3 times. So you have to try and finish it correctly before you fail it correctly. But sometimes it's like, this is a really important conversation. If you fail it even once, you are not going to complete it. But if you want to complete it in a positive manner, you have to complete it 3 times. Either way, how it works out, because you've been hearing this language, you get to add one of their cards that they played to your deck and replace it.
Okay.
Meaning those circles and triangles that you start with, you can now swap in a square because you've been talking and hearing that language, and you're starting to pick it up on it. The way the rounds kind of work is you're on like going on this kind of road trip, and you're coming back home to like stock and meet your friends and stock this store that they all own. But as you're learning more language, you're forgetting your own language. So coming home is now harder because your friends can't communicate with you. So there's this really interesting push and pull of like, where are you building routes? Who are you meeting and talking with? Like the whole right side of the map, they speak in diamonds and squares. Everyone on the left is like circles and triangles. But as the months go on, the people will also move around. So there's many different endings to the game, and where you choose to go and how you can talk to them and how you've set up your deck allows you to proceed and go through it. It's super interesting. It's a real cool way to have a mix on a card game. I think the metaphor of how they made a 1-to-1 with language and speaking with people with different languages is just so interesting. I think it looks gorgeous. The art style is super nice. I love the sound design as well, of when you like match all the cards in a row and you get this like ding 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 as it goes through. Like I really enjoyed it. My one issue is to get to these different endings, kind of requires a lot of like, hey, you're gonna have to do like 2 full rounds of the calendar before you even get the chance to like break off towards this ending path. And it can just be a lot of like, man, I played these first 2 days over and over again. There are not separate save slots, so you can't just like save at the fork and then experience them all. I had to play the intro tutorial like 5 times, which is just kind of a bummer. So
Sure, yeah.
take that with a grain of salt. But again, I really enjoyed my time. That was Signs of the Sojourner.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
And it is on Game Pass for like another 5 days. So
okay.
if this sounds interesting and you have Game Pass, you have time. Otherwise, I think it's like a $20 game.
Cool.
All right, that was my week in video games. Let's talk about some news. Some cool stuff happened. Some weird stuff happened. Sega has announced that they are working on a Space Channel 5 and a Comics Zone movie.
Why not?
Sure, yep.
I would not have guessed that they would have done this.
Yeah, I also would not have guessed, but yeah, sure. Yeah.
I keep hearing Margot Robbie would be a good one for Space Channel 5.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
I could
she
see
could
it.
probably will.
Mm-hmm.
Or Pudding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I haven't heard much about Comic Zone. I don't even know. Like,
I mean, that's a fun Genesis game, and the story could be adapted to a movie, no problem. I could see that easily.
do you think these actually happen?
No.
Oh,
Well,
I don't know.
one will happen.
Do you want to make a guess which one? Which
See,
one
that's
is
the hard
more
part.
plausible?
Well, if we're talking about which ones had a more recent game, it would be Space Channel 5 because that was on PS4.
True, yeah. Didn't they do
So
a VR game too?
That is the VR game.
Oh, that is the VR game? Okay.
Yeah. So that would probably be my bet. It would be Space Channel 5. Although there's, I guess, technically less plot there. But they could stretch it out as just a musical. I don't know. I feel like if they had the right people working on this, it could be interesting. I don't know if it'll be a good movie, but it could be an interesting movie.
Sure.
Oh, which one would you rather see?
That I'd rather see? Probably Comic Zone, but like, I don't know. A lot of Comic Zone, the thing I think that makes that game cool is the fact that it's a comic book and you're jumping between the panels to get through stages and stuff, and none of that stuff is going to be in a live action movie probably, so
That aspect of it makes me more interested because like maybe they do some cool stuff with like animation and the animation keeps changing.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, kind of like, you know, Into the Spider-Verse has like different animation styles depending on where the Spider-Man came from.
Sure.
Yeah. Something like that could work, but I just feel like otherwise it's a little bare bones.
Totally. Yep.
Space Channel 5 though, you know, society these days love TikTok dances.
I mean, at least Space Channel 5 has had 3 different games with 3 different stories, even though they're all partially the same. So like and it's also sci-fi, so there's plenty of stuff to work with.
Yeah.
I don't think either of these happen.
I smart money's on no for both.
I think Sega's getting a little too big for its britches with movies, and I think they're going to make one of these happen, and then it flops, and then that's it. That's why I think only one will happen.
Or maybe it's a scenario where it's kind of like a one for me, one for you. It's like, hey, we'll do Sonic 3, and that'll fund a Comics Zone movie for us.
Maybe this actually somehow ends up being good. Like everyone was shitting on the Sonic movie for the longest time, so
I would love for it to be good. I don't want bad movies to come out. I want good movies to come out. So
yeah.
I think we never hear about this again.
How's that Metal Gear Solid movie coming along, by the way?
Yeah, exactly, right.
Or Metroid or Tetris or insert game here.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Gamescom is happening. I'm not quite sure, but one thing that did happen and is finished, it was Jeff Keighley's opening night live stream. He did that earlier this week. Did either of you watch it or hear any news that was interesting to you?
I watched it.
I saw some games pop up. That was about it.
Okay. We don't have to go through everything, but what were some of the highlights that you guys heard about or that you're interested in?
Okay. I was surprised that there was a Lords of the Fallen, another one called Lords of the Fallen, because who fucking cared about Lords of the Fallen the first time? But sure, okay, if they reboot it and do it right or something, yeah, okay, why not?
Okay. You can just like go in like a circle. John, anything that piqued your interest?
I forgot the game list, so I'm kind of skimming it now.
Yeah,
I can do one while you're looking through it. Moving Out 2 was announced. It's going to have online co-op, which is
Yeah.
the one thing I wanted. Absolutely.
I definitely
Holy
thought of
smokes,
you when
that's
I
great.
was watching that. I was like, oh, Sean's gonna be really happy about this one.
So happy. That
Yep.
first game is great, and I had to like mostly play it by myself.
Yeah.
I'm still looking. Is there anything else for you, Paul?
Nothing's jumping out.
So I need to see what the hell it is, but Under the Waves, anytime you see you talk about Quantic Dream, I'm a little bit intrigued as to where they're going with it.
And this is definitely kind of a departure from Quantic Dream, because hopefully they're not abusing their employees, and two, it's not like a hyper realistic, kind of visual novel that they kind of typically do.
It looks like a walking sim in like the wreckage of a ship under the ocean from what they've shown, which is maybe interesting.
I like walking sims. I'll go for it. Something that jumped out for me, PlayStation announced a Pro controller to kind of rival the Xbox Elite controller. This is the DualSense Edge.
Yeah. And they've said nothing about the battery life, which is worrying.
Nothing about the battery life. Hey, if it's anything like the DualSense, it'll be worse than you'd like it to be.
Yep.
But this is kind of all the features you'd expect, different profiles. You can swap out the sticks.
I couldn't find anything for like what I was excited about, but I definitely found one that I was very what the fuck about, and that is Killer Clowns from Outer Space, the game based off the movie.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, right?
Why not?
True.
That was a weird one. If we're doing the what the fuck section, I got one for you. Hideo Kojima showed up to announce his podcast that'll be on Spotify next month.
Yep.
So there's that, I guess. Okay.
Sure.
The Pikachu car.
Oh yeah, the electric car.
What a waste of time that was, but yeah.
There's a bunch of segments where it's like, what am I watching right now?
Yeah.
This is why I didn't exactly like chomp at the bit to go watch this.
So I've been kind of interested in High on Life, and that little bit they showed of the fight made me wonder if I even like Justin Roiland at all, and if I care about Rick and Morty anymore, because that was just abominably bad.
I've heard a few people say similar things.
Like, I was thinking about it, it's like, oh, maybe Rick and Morty's like really fucking bad, actually. Maybe I should not watch it anymore, because this is terrible.
Well, to be fair, isn't Rick and Morty 2 people, not just 1?
Yeah, so that's
maybe that's
what's
it.
helping.
Yeah.
I think out of the two of them, I do like that Dan Harmon is more like, he's crazy, but in a way that's more down to earth and not wacky, because I don't like wacky. So yeah.
I thought something that was kind of funny. So opening night live was done in person. He had an audience. And so Jeff Keighley was doing stuff like, hey, do you guys like PlayStation? And then he would announce the DualSense Edge. For High on Life, it's like, do you guys like Justin Roiland? Everyone was like silent. He was like, Rick and Morty, and then they were like, yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess just no one knows who Justin Roiland is. I'll bring up another game. They showed The Expanse off from Telltale again, and
that made
I'm
me
still
wonder
super
what Telltale is at this point.
I would still love to know. Speaking of Telltale, we got the official announcement for new Tales of the Borderlands. Randy Pitchford showed up there wearing bright yellow pants.
I thought he wasn't even at the company anymore. I thought he was just in the film division now or whatever.
He was there, man, and he announced new Tales from the Borderlands. He said they hired some of the Telltale people to write this. So, sure. Okay.
Oh, okay. That makes me feel a little better about it.
I'm happy to die on the hill that is Tales from the Borderlands is the only good Borderlands writing ever.
Yeah, probably.
Well, apparently Randy must agree if he hired people to work on it. So,
which is a good sign. I'm glad he didn't just go, we're going to take the IP, and we got writers in house. They know this world back to front. Make every character claptrap. Boom. So hopefully it's just not that. Oh, I'm surprised you didn't bring up Liza P.
Yeah, I mean, I've known about it for like 2 years now, and I've been waiting for a date, which they didn't give. So
Well, they showed that off. It looks like Bloodborne.
yeah, that's yeah.
It's a Pinocchio Souls-like
There.
where
Sorry,
I'm
go
not
on.
100% what's going on. Are you Pinocchio as a boy or are you a doll?
Well, it's hard to tell what the fuck he is because he has like a mechanical arm. So yeah. There's like 4 games that they talked about through this and the future game show that is like, oh my god, it's coming, the date's coming for the released in 2022 or 2023, and it's just like, no. So this was one of them. I was actually disappointed. One of the ones that I want to play though is Blacktail still.
That I thought looked cool. There was one they showed right after that, Phantom Hellcat. I also thought looked pretty cool.
That looked good too. Yep.
Actually, I think Phantom Hellcat might be at PAX, so I might have the opportunity to play that one.
Yeah.
They ended off with Dead Island 2 officially getting announced. I'm just so curious, like what this thing is.
So, dude, in a world where Dying Light 1 and 2 exist, do we care about Dead Island? Because Dead Island was good when it came out because it was different enough, but now like that's been done better.
I think that's a real good point because
they might learn the lessons, right?
Like
maybe
like 2 of those games. Right?
Dying Light's problem is that it was too self-serious. So, Dying Light. If Dead Island is just like, hey, we're like irreverent and dumb about stuff because this is a stupid situation, I might be down for that. That's what makes
Wasn't Dead Island usually serious though?
Well, I mean, Hoodoo Your Voodoo wasn't exactly.
Okay, so within reason. Let's be
sure. Yeah,
it's not a Saints Row situation here, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I want them to go dumber though.
Buggy
like
Beyond All Belief.
Sorry, what?
I was making a joke at the new Saints Row. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that I kind of want Dead Island to be maybe the Saints Row of that type of game, where the first one was kind of like, whatever, but like it had maybe a little bit of a sense of humor to it. Dying Light is the GTA, like, oh yeah, we're super serious about our zombie apocalypse in Africa or whatever. And then Dead Island 2 comes out. It's like, no, we're stupider. Look at this.
I have a question for you guys. You're not allowed to look it up. How many Dead Island games are there?
There's 4 or 5. There's Dead Island, Dead Island Riptide. There's Dead Island Epidemic, which was the MOBA
there's
they
6.
canceled. Okay, what's the other one?
So there's Dead Island.
Yeah.
Dead Island Riptide.
Yeah.
Escape Dead Island, which I guess came out on like Xbox 360. I don't think
I
ever
remember
heard
that. I thought that was like a free game or something.
Yeah,
like
nobody
that.
gave a shit about it. Yeah.
There's the Dead Island Epidemic, which is a canceled MOBA.
Yep.
And they did Dead Island Definitive Edition back in 2016 when they remastered it.
Yeah.
And then Dead Island 2, the 6th Dead Island, is now coming out.
Sure. Sorry,
they
I wasn't
saw
counting.
Kingdom Hearts and was just they wanted that record.
They can up it.
That was a shocking fact to me that I would have probably said, including Dead Island 2, there was 3. That's what I would have guessed because I remembered Riptide. These other ones, like 6 of them.
I forgot Escape from Dead Island. Yeah, that's true.
That I don't even know if I've seen that before. What does that look like?
Don't worry, you are among the 98% of everybody in the world.
I could not. I've never seen this box art.
Sure.
I've never seen this box art. Anyways, that was opening night live. Some weird hits, some misses, a lot of what the fuck moments. This morning.
Sorry, I have to say that looks dope because that's looks like Ghost of Tsushima for like medieval China or something, that era. So that looked really cool to me.
This morning, Sony announced it's raising the price of the PS5.
Everywhere except the States, right?
Everywhere except the US, yes.
Yeah, this little document I have kind of only shows me like the new price. I think I saw in Canada it's going up $20. The UK was like an increase of 10%. But yeah, this list says like Europe, UK, Japan, China, Australia, Mexico, Canada. The States they're not touching, which is odd. I guess it's because the dollar's doing fine in the States, whereas I know Japan's is not doing great. The UK's I know is not doing great. I don't know
I
about
would have
yours.
figured this was more a case of like that's the place they don't want to lose market share. Because I saw some
Oh.
people saying like the main area that Xbox is competitive in is in the US, so raising the price
sure.
would give Xbox more market share.
Oh, that's probably a good point too. Yeah. It's weird. We saw this with the Quest. Now we're seeing with the PS5. It is rare that we see game consoles getting more expensive.
Are they just on shelves now? Like, are they actually easy to find, or are they still a pain in the ass to
People
get?
say that. I haven't been at a store though.
I mean, I haven't been looking
I
for
think the
one either.
PS5 is still somewhat hard to get. It sounds like the Xbox, especially the S, is fine to get.
Sure.
Yeah.
And speaking of the Xbox, Microsoft did come out and pretty much say we're not changing our price.
I can't blame them.
If this does have to do, like, if part of the reason that Quest was given was the components are getting more expensive to make as we're in this like recession, I'm sure that's probably hitting Sony as well. It's hitting everyone.
Yeah.
I would assume it's also hitting Microsoft, and Microsoft is just going to eat that cost because they know this is going to extremely help them if they have a cheaper box that is technically more powerful.
Yeah, sure.
So, yeah, and then obviously Sony's not going to be able to match the amount of money that Microsoft can throw at this problem. So,
yeah,
see if it does much. I mean, it's not a huge change in price, but like they were already hard to find. Now you're making the buying decision even more difficult.
Yeah, Microsoft is raking in that Game Pass money too to help alleviate any of that stress.
Oh, it's okay. Sony's raking in that PlayStation Plus money.
Are they? Like, I don't actually know any updates on how that is for people.
Or how they're probably not even going to say anything about that anytime soon, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I can't imagine it's that great. Like, yeah.
I mean, I agree, but I also don't know. So.
PlayStation also, just in kind of like a tweet on their Instagram, announced coming early 2023, the PSVR 2.
Yeah.
This is our first kind of window release date. All I got to say, thank God it's not this year. My backlog for this year is pretty bad.
Yeah, I guess those predictions for the Game of the Year thing are gone.
Yeah,
that it's coming out.
I don't remember what we predicted.
Yeah, I think we all said 22. I think we all said this year.
I can't unlock it until that episode, so I have no idea.
Yeah, that's good. Yep, that's the rules. Horizon Zero Dawn is getting a TV adaptation developed by the man behind the Umbrella Academy on Netflix.
I heard that thing is really good, the Umbrella Academy. So,
well, as a fan of the comics and the show,
yeah,
the first 2 seasons are great. That third season is god awful. I couldn't make my way through it.
So, are you excited about the last season coming out, or?
They also did announce season 4, which is like, I guess I should get through season 3 so I can see their final season. But like,
yeah.
Oh man, I don't know. Anyway, so that means we're getting a Horizon movie and a TV show now.
Yeah, that makes sense. That world and setting has a lot of possibilities you could do stuff with.
Sure. Yep, agreed. Speaking of movies, there's a Gravity Rush movie coming.
That's weird.
PlayStation Productions announces a Gravity Rush movie is in the works.
Is it animated? Have they said?
They have not said anything other than, yeah, we're doing that as a movie.
Okay.
Yep. So I don't know what bigger chance. Does this come out before the Sega ones?
Well,
I think so.
Right
Sony
now,
seems really into.
Sony's the one that's got the best track record for releasing the movies because they released Ratchet and Clank and Uncharted. So I would say yes.
They have their own production.
Sega released Sonic 1 and 2. That's 2 for 2.
Sony
and
has
they're working on
division.
3.
Like that. Yeah. This is probably just more likely from logistics point of view.
Sony also has the Last of Us TV show going full force. We got the first like teaser for that.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, I think what was the motorcycle zombie game? Days Gone. I think they announced a movie for that.
Yeah, that makes
sense. Last week?
Was it a movie or a series? It was something.
Either one of those makes total sense to me.
It was one of those two, obviously. And the other tidbit I remember hearing about it is the guy they had to do all the facial and animation capture, they're not going to use him.
Oh.
As the main protagonist.
Okay.
Which is what I feel bad for that guy.
Did they say why?
Clearly,
yeah.
Probably because he's not a big enough name, despite he clearly did a fine job acting as the protagonist to this 60-hour game.
Yeah, I don't like that sort of thing. That bugs me.
Does this bug you?
Yes.
The new game from the Crypt of the Necrodancer developer, Rift of the Necrodancer.
Oh, this is great.
Did you guys watch this trailer?
Oh,
Yes.
It's a cool trailer. Some rhythm heaven stuff.
It looks
was in
like
there.
it might be minigame collection-esque.
okay.
Yeah, this is cool. I like the art style. It's a cool twist on it. I had known about this for a bit because this is gonna be at PAX, and I had booked an appointment to do it, but it was one of those like, we haven't announced it yet. You can't talk about it. So I'm definitely playing this at PAX next week.
Nice.
I'm looking forward to talking about that. But yeah, Rift of the Necrodancer. It's exciting.
Yeah, this looks
Yeah,
cool.
it takes place in the future / modern day, apparently.
Sure. Yep.
And some other kind of interesting news. So Sakurai, now that he is done with Smash Bros. And released from his prison, has launched his own YouTube channel all about creating games, and it's like a super deep dive into looking at like classic retro games.
It's actually really cool. I've already watched like the first couple videos. They're
I've
really
been
neat.
meaning to. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So if you're like this is like, but in the weeds, this is like a developer talking about like development stuff. Like, this is not for just like the casuals out there. This guy is just going deep, and it's pretty great just to see him like just kind of following a passion project of his own.
Sure. That's awesome.
And obviously they're being translated. There's English translations out there, so it's not just a Japanese thing. Twitch announced that their partners no longer have to exclusively only stream on Twitch. They can stream elsewhere, just not at the same time.
Not their
Yes.
competitors.
Well, not specifically Facebook and YouTube. They
Yeah.
can't do those at the same time. They can do TikTok and Instagram at the same time.
At the same time as Twitch. Yeah.
Yeah.
John, I'm curious, obviously, for you, what your thoughts on this are.
I don't think it's gonna affect me too much. Maybe because TikTok streaming is still invite only for the most part, and I don't use Instagram. So, but if there ever becomes a situation where I feel like I need to move to another platform, like say YouTube or Facebook, this is actually pretty great. This is good for partners in general. I just don't think it's going to affect my current situation all that much.
Sure. But that's good on Twitch. I'm kind of surprised they would do this and just kind of give up the grip they had. But
I think it's specifically for partners too. It's not for affiliates, or like affiliates didn't have the same restriction or something like that. There was like a little bit of a underlining like note to it, a footnote to it. But no, this was mainly meant to help partners.
right on. And last bit of news, we got a date for the Game Awards, December 8th. Obviously, it'll be streaming live, and they'll be doing stuff in the LA theater if you're in the LA area. This is apparently the 9th Game Awards show.
Wow.
Yeah, so good for him. I'm looking forward to watching it. These are always fun streams.
That's on a TDP night.
It's always on a TDP night.
Yeah, I guess it is, huh? I never.
They always do it on Thursday.
On Thursday.
So we'll have to work around that.
Are you going to, like, do you know, for work? I guess you wouldn't know yet, but
I doubt I would. I doubt I'd be going down there to do
December or
anything,
something.
because it's just like it's just me watching Jeff talk.
Yeah.
Like, I've already talked to him, and he talked to me. I've already done that. Checked that one off the list. No, I'll probably just be home watching it. So
yeah,
it was a fun stream, and they're like crazy long. They're like 3 hours.
Very long. Yep.
Speaking of like awards, Opening Night Live had awards, and they always do. And they're the weirdest things ever because they're like platform specific, which just seems like a decade old at this point. Like, who still does like most interesting PlayStation game coming up? And like God of War wasn't on that list, so I don't even know what the criteria was. But anyway, let's do some questions. If you would like to send a question in, it is topdownperspective@gmail.com, at TDP Podcast on Twitter, the Discord channel, or John's P.O. Box. This one comes from Kevin. I hear Sean mention flow state games occasionally. What defines a flow state game, and what are some good examples of flow state games?
I assume we're talking like Arkham Asylum, that kind of gameplay, or
I'm assuming like what if it's Sean talking about it, it's probably that he's referring to. It's probably in relation to rhythm games where you're just kind of part of that like moment and you're not really looking at the thing anymore. You're just kind of like, I don't know, in that state where you're just playing.
No. Well, when I think of flow state, it wouldn't have been either of those. I guess Paul's a little closer. I think of stuff like Sonic. I think of stuff like Mirror's Edge, Sunset Overdrive.
oh, you
Where the
mean
game's
literally just going with the flow of the game?
where the
Just
game
kind of,
is like there's an emphasis on momentum and
Oh,
like
okay.
and like a core concept of like the flow state game is like if you are not like playing well and working with the momentum, the
Then you're
game
fucked.
feels kind of awful.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
And I brought this up with the game last week with the guns. What was that?
the game with the guns.
I already forgot the rollerdrome.
Oh,
Roller
Roller
Drum.
Drum. Yeah.
Whereas like you want to be kind of in the combo the whole time, yada yada. Tony Hawk's another
Tony
good one that
Hawk.
you want to like
Yep.
you want to keep going. Anytime you like fall off your skateboard or like hit a wall weird and all the momentum stops, the game almost feels bad to play. You're immediately just like, I need to get back. Like this is something is wrong right
Yeah.
now. That's how I kind of interpret a flow state game. It's where like momentum is so key to the enjoyment of it.
Sure. What was that game where you're like riding down inclines to like gain momentum so that you jump off into like
On
more-
phones?
Yeah.
Yeah, Alto's Adventure, Alto's
Okay.
Odyssey.
Yeah.
That's another good one for sure. Yep.
Journey. Anytime you've stopped in Journey and it was just like you're trying. Anytime I felt like I had to dodge something in Journey, it felt bad. Like I just wanted to be kind of moving at all times. I hated stopping. I kind of didn't like looking for like the secrets and pinging them in that game because I like to just move in it.
Sure. Yeah.
Tony Hawk's the like actual answer for.
I think like the poster child is Sonic. Like when you're not like running in Sonic, that game is not fun.
Sure. Rasterman says, "What's a game that had you played it way sooner than you did, you'd have enjoyed it a lot more, and then the inverse or less."
Xenoblade Chronicles for me, probably because I know major spoilers in the story.
Oh yeah.
Okay. That's a good one. Yeah, if you're spoiled, I guess that automatically gives you the answer there.
Yeah.
Hmm. I know there's answers to this, but
I don't have a great answer off the top of my head. I know like Mass Effect comes to mind where I did play 1. I did not like it. I played it later after 2 and I had like come around on it. 2 kind of like opened my eyes.
sure, yeah. Honestly, any of the newer Mega Man games, even though I like them enough, I think I would have been super into them. Like, if I had played them right when they came out. I waited on a lot of them, especially the Zero games, the Mega Man Zero games. I feel like had I played those when they came out in the early 2000s, I would have been absolutely in love with them. Where just now they're just like okay, sort of.
Nice.
That's fair. Yeah. They've definitely been done better since,
Mm-hmm.
for the most part. Suki writes in and says, "What exactly is a sport, and are video games sports? Sports are just usually a competition that involves some sort of physical movement. And yeah, video games are sports because you have to move your hand and sometimes your body. But the competition's the main aspect of it.
Yeah, I would say I think as long as you can compete, I think it kind of makes it a sport.
The definition I looked up is pretty close to what you said, actually. An activity involving physical exertion and skill in which an individual or team competes against another or others for
There you go.
Yeah. And then video game sports, it's like, well, we have esports, which is just like what electronic sports. So
Yeah.
you have
Yeah.
you have the competition aspect, and the interface just happens to be electronic. So there's your E.
I mean, we just watched Evo like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I forget if it was Shaquille O'Neal or Charles Barkley that got asked, like, are video games sports? And he said, absolutely yes, because it requires the same, like, mental concentration and focus that any other physical sport like basketball takes. So he's just like, yeah, no, it's a sport.
Again, the flow state.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Phantom Aegis writes, if you were forced to, what would you prefer, bagels or donuts?
Bagels, 90% of the time.
Why?
Because I don't like sugary stuff. I like savory more.
Okay.
I'm with Paul, bagels, because sometimes sweets are too much.
I'm pretty much the same thing. I'm not a huge sweets person. I actually don't even eat bagels that much. Like toast, toast is where it's at as far as I'm
I'm
concerned.
team toast, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. And to me, bagels are like this is kind of a lot of more toast than I want. But
Very dense.
it's close. It's like, can I have half of this toast? Can we like chop it into fours? But yeah, no bagels over donuts.
Dead writes, for smaller but pricey gaming gadget like the Stadia, Playdate, Analog Pocket, X Screen, etc., is there an activity or enjoyment quota you have to consider it not wasting your money?
I mean, you can apply that to anything, I feel.
Yeah, sure.
So I guess, well, but he's asking us specifically. So when you're looking at like a premium product, what are the things you're kind of weighing? For example, like the Analog Pocket. You know, it's not cheap.
Yeah.
So what are the things you're thinking about when you're trying to make
X
that
amount of
purchase decision?
usage, X amount of hours of usage, basically.
Yeah, I guess for me, it's like, will I actually use this, or is this going to be like cool for a week and then it's in my drawer forever and I'm not going to touch it?
Yeah, same. That's why I don't buy any of these.
As someone who buys most of these,
it's also your job too, kind of.
Yeah,
like,
it's also
you
my
have an
job.
excuse built in.
Yeah. I don't know. They eventually will get their use at some point, but yeah, I would argue at some point I got to get like X amount of hours. Let's say, like, depending on the price, let's say I'm going to be very generous with this. 10 hours per $100, maybe.
You actually like do an equation in your head like that?
No, actually, I do not. I'm just saying,
Okay.
like, but this is probably what it roughly works out to, where I'm like, all right, this was a good investment.
Okay. Yeah, because I was gonna say like, it's more just like, do I think I'm going to use this long term? It's never like, okay, these are the numbers. I'm gonna punch it into the calculator, and it's gonna give me a smiley face or a sad face, and then I'm gonna take that to my bank and be like, smiley face this week, boys.
Usually I'm just like, all right, would this help with XY thing, or would this just be a nice thing to have? Yes. Okay, cool, get it. And then eventually the usage comes with it. Like right now I'm not using my Steam Deck. I used it for a little bit of Rogue Legacy and I haven't used it since.
You will, though.
But when travel comes up, I'm sure to get a ton of use. Or when I get a home dock where I can get more use out of it, then I'll get a bunch more use. So
yeah. I mean, yeah, you for sure will. The last thing I did kind of frivolously was the VR. And I kind of feel like that was a waste of money at this point, but it gets use a lot. It's just not for me.
Also, that thing just went up in value, so you're like, hell yeah!
You've technically saved money, yeah.
Woo, we did it. The Playdate has been the closest one that, and still kind of like, that thing's just a neat little indie thing that there's nothing like
crank.
it.
Got a little crank on the side.
Still waiting on mine. Everyone's gonna be done with it by the time I get mine.
But yeah,
maybe you'll get it just in time for season 2. Who knows? Like, you know,
probably.
There's more games coming.
Stadia though, that's kind of a bummer.
Glad I stayed away from that one. Yeah.
Do have that Stadia controller somewhere around here.
BGC Kenny writes in and says, do you think that Nintendo's next console has to be an evolution of the Switch, or can they afford to make another experimental console?
They can afford to make an experimental console for a long time. Whether or not they want to.
But they're probably going to do a Switch too. Let's be real.
I think so too. Yeah.
I can't see Nintendo going back to separate, like dedicated handheld, dedicated console. I can't. Like, I feel like they have to always do a combo one at this point.
Sure.
So it could be experimental, but I feel like it is also going to be able to be played on your TV and in your hands.
In which case, it's technically an evolution of the Switch in its own way.
Yeah. a Switch, but you flip it open and there's 2 screens.
Oh shit.
Ooh.
Yeah. Then like 5 years later, the top one's 3D.
Time's just a circle, is what we're saying.
It really is. Yeah.
Linebeck writes, "Have you ever tried playing video games?" That's
Yeah.
the question.
No.
Have you ever tried playing video games despite getting hand injuries and being told not to by doctors and others until it recovers? If so, did you end up regretting it?
This seems very specific.
As I lift up my hook hand, I should have listened.
I needed to play Kirby's Dream Buffet or whatever. No, I've never had an injury where doctors were like, you shouldn't play video games for a week, specifically, or anything like that. No hand injuries like that.
Worst I've had is a cut on my thumb, so I couldn't
Ew.
mash buttons, and Mortal Kombat 10 had just come out. So I was just like, oh, damn it.
Sure, yeah.
Learn how to hit the button sideways. It was better to heal.
I mean, so I broke my wrist, as has
Yeah.
been documented on this podcast. The doctors didn't tell me to not play video games. I didn't specifically ask, like, can I still play Mario?
Next time.
But like, yeah, next time I'll make sure to ask that. Same with the face. But I just physically was not able to play some games because my hand was in a cast and I couldn't move it very well. So it was just a thing of like, well, I can't do this, so I will do some one-handed gaming for a few weeks there.
Linebeck says that in chat, I did this after I burnt my hand. I played Final Fantasy 14. Turns out 14 with one hand is very difficult.
Okay. I'm
I
surprised
mean, if you play like Phoenix Wright, like visual novel games or like
Yeah.
JRPGs, you'll probably be okay.
Yeah.
Something where
I
you can take your time.
When I was playing Signs of the Sojourner this week on the Steam Deck, I bound the 2 back buttons on the left side to be A and B, so I could play that one-handed. And that was great.
Okay.
I could say you destroyed your hand on purpose on this weekend. Decided this weekend I would light my hand on fire. It felt like a good way to get a good experience out of this game.
Yeah.
You know.
18 JFI writes, if you could say one thing to your past selves in 2013 when you started the podcast, what would it be?
I think first it would be, didn't we start this in 2012?
No, what? We started this in
Like
2011.
2010.
Well,
Started
no,
in,
when
like,
officially, because we did the school project ones in 2010. Wasn't that it? The school project ones in
Yeah,
2010.
that was
and
still
then we did
this show. That was still top-down perspective. I think they might be looking at maybe the YouTube channel. That might have started in
Probably.
2013. Maybe that's where they're getting 2013 from. Pretty sure our first episode came out January 2010, if I remember correctly. But I mean, we could answer this at the beginning, or we can answer it 2013. We could answer Paul could answer it when he first started, which should have been 2014, I think. I think that's when it was.
Yeah.
I think it was my first year down here.
Okay. Run. Just one word. Run.
Run. I probably would have. Like, does it have to be podcast? Can I just be like, go to a different university? I might tell my past self to do that.
Yeah.
Put all your stock into Apple or Epic. Become a Fortnite streamer the minute Fortnite gets put out there. That's definitely, or Minecraft. I would have said jump on the bandwagon before there's a bandwagon.
The list is too long, what I would tell my past self, so I cannot answer this question.
Sure.
All right. I do think you're the next question reader.
That is true, though. From Rasterman7. Lately, I've been thinking about video game characters. How Mario, despite being one, if not the most recognizable for the wider audience, has a noticeable lack of personality traits. I mean, according to different sources, he is cheerful and playful, but while playing as him, you don't see much of it, for better or for worse. As such, I was wondering what would be the most recognizable video game character personalities? For example, Sonic, Master Chief, maybe even Luigi. I mean, that's on purpose. They do that on purpose because they want you to be a blank slate that you'll like pay more, like you'll put yourself into. So that's why you you kind of invest yourself more and get yourself more into the game.
Yeah, so everyone can be a Italian plumber.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, there's basically like just a light template of what the character's like. Like Sonic's a snarky character. Mario is it's a me kind of happy-go-lucky guy.
I don't think Master Chief, because that dude has no personality whatsoever. That's like the
But
point.
he wants to
pretty
finish
much
this fight.
Yeah,
That's it.
And he's really interested in finding some new batteries. That's like half his lines in Infinity. I'll get the batteries. I don't know. I don't think Luigi's going to beat Mario. I feel like it's Mario versus Sonic. Do you think Mario is the most recognizable video game character?
Yes.
Yeah, unless you want to cheat and count like Mickey Mouse or something like that.
What about like Steve from Minecraft or something at this point?
What about
Steve from Minecraft's
Pikachu?
definitely in that top 5. There's no
Oh,
questioning that.
I think so too.
What about Pikachu?
Yeah.
Definitely top 5.
Yep, for sure.
But does it beat Mario?
Yes. Oh, no. Mario beats him.
No. So nothing
No,
beats
actually,
Mario.
I think I'm with Sean on this one. I think he does.
I think Pikachu
Pikachu
beats.
does?
Is there any way to
Again,
Google
another character
any
without a
results?
personality, though.
Yeah, no.
What was recognizable video game personality?
I looked up the podcast, by the way. Yeah, January 29th, 2010. So yeah, we for some reason I thought we started in September, but yeah, no, January.
That's when I would have started that year of school, so I may have started talking about it then.
Mm.
That seems too early because I doubt I was
I don't
planning.
know. I would have still
podcast
been at
for,
the
like,
store at that point, so that would make sense for it. So
it just seems too early. Like I don't feel like I was planning for like 4 months or September, October, like 4 months before we started. I think we kind of just like jumped in pretty quick.
yeah, it says the inaugural episode.
Okay, personality. I don't know, man, because even like Link is a blank slate. So maybe it is Sonic because he's the only one that we've said that isn't a blank slate character.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, because he's had so many cartoons where he's had a personality, the movies, etc. A lot of cutscenes where he talks.
He is
Which
actually,
Even in the game, like you know, he was tapping his foot, waiting for you to
he's
go.
impatient. Yeah.
Yeah, body language.
And last question from Hebrew Lantern: who would win, 30 billion SpongeBob's or Goku?
Goku.
I feel like it's Goku because I don't think anyone can beat Goku. As someone who watched a new Dragon Ball Z movie last weekend.
Yeah.
Actually, hang on. Vegeta beat Goku in that one. Goku can be beaten. Spoilers? He's not even like, it's like a side plot. Like that movie's about Piccolo and Gohan. I also don't think it's very good, but of course it's not good. Anyways, Goku would beat 30 billion SpongeBob's.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. That's going to do it for questions. If you would like to send in questions for next week, topdownperspective@gmail.com, at TDP Podcast on Twitter, the Discord channel, or John's P.O. Box. You guys have a game of the week?
Klonoa 2 specifically?
I guess Kirby's Dream Buffet?
Okay.
And I know mine is Signs of the Sojourner.
Nice.
Hey, speaking of Klonoa, we're going to be live shortly after this for our TDP Plus episode. Otherwise, you can check out the archive for that later tomorrow. And for September, Tinykin won the poll.
Oh, wow. Okay, how much did it win by? That was a very close poll the whole time.
It was very close. It won by 1 or 2 votes. And they came out of nowhere at the last possible second. So some people were sitting there like waiting for like the timer to go down, and then they put their votes in at the last second, or they swapped them at the last second. But
that's pretty.
Because it was going to be Dragon Quest Builders 2 for like half a week there.
Yeah.
And Tinykin took it.
Wow.
Almost bought Tinykin today because there was like a pre-order discount, and luckily I noticed it was coming to Game Pass. So thank goodness. All right, that'll do it for the show this week. We will talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.